All right, y'all, we are live on this beautiful Sunday afternoon. May the Lord bless you all in Jesus' name. In the name of Yeshua the Messiah, I pray you and your family are super blessed. If you partake in Thanksgiving, I hope you had a wonderful, blessed Thanksgiving. There's an old saying that goes like this: 30 days hath September, April, June, and November. 30 days hath September, April, June, and November. And guess what, man? Today is November, man. Yes, today is November 30th, the last day, which means this purple candle that you see right here is going to close in approximately 6 hours, 18 minutes, and 3 seconds at the making of this exact live stream. And as you can see, it is a major fight between the bears and the bulls to see, does the Bitcoin price want to close above the very key level of right now around 90,600. This is in fact the value area low of the big old range that we've been trading in since last November. And last November hath 30 days as well, and you can see a massive blue candle breaking into the new range. And this November, we will see this candle close as we head into December, which hath not 30 days. It has 31 days. Now, make sure to like the stream, because if we can get 1,000 likes in the first half hour, we'll be giving away $1,000. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. All right. If this channel has ever helped you in any way, make sure to like, make sure to share, make sure to subscribe. All right. Now, like I said, 90,621 right now on Bybit USD. This is going to be our key level. You can see we are trying right now to close the monthly and the weekly candle. This is a big day, guys. As we head into December, which is historically a bearish month, this is a very big day for Bitcoin and by proximity, the entirety of the crypto market, because depending on how Bitcoin behaves here, hang on. There we go. My hat wasn't douchey enough. There we go. Backwards and a little bit to the side. Super douchebaggy. Depending on how this closes, man, this December, historically a bearish month, could give us a little hint to what we could expect. Now, we're going to get into it later, but first of all, let's keep our eyes on the prize here. Fear and greed, still pretty high. All right, fear and greed is 28. Well, I guess low. The fear is high. The index is low. The market is still feeling fear. The recovery we've had thus far has not been enough to convince a lot of traders and investors that we are so back. All right. Take a look at some news articles here. Bitcoin price watch. Bulls build and bears guard key resistance. Bitcoin's price held 91.4, backed by a market capitalization of 1.82 trillion and a 24-hour trading volume of 39.43 billion. This is a real fight right here at the key level that we see on the chart. And the overall crypto market cap is showing that there is some stability returning here. Like, there's actual volume coming in. There's a real fight going on. But this is a key resistance zone. And we can see an actual fight happening right here on the chart. There is some money coming in here trying to prevent Bitcoin from reclaiming this level. So this is what we really need to watch. 91,400 according to the article. On Bybit, it's 90,600. I would say we could classify it as a zone, the zone that we've been watching basically on our chart for a long time, right? The purple box of hope and wonder that we've been watching. We sang the pump song back on November 26th to pump us up into the box. We come to the box, and now we're just starting to form a range. All right, we're starting to form a range. Now, this article, interesting, what to expect from Bitcoin price in December. All right, there's some interesting data coming in here. We've seen institutional demand cool down throughout November. All right, net outflows of ETFs were very down in November. So this is not the best look for December, even though we're having some actual real volume come in right now and there's a fight at the resistance. The institutional money, not there right now. According to this article, on-chain data remains shaky because whales and long-term investors are continuing to move Bitcoin from their wallets. And we don't know if they're selling it or not, but it seems that big wallets are not accumulating. They're moving Bitcoin out of their wallets. All right. Because of these factors, according to this article, they're assuming that the recent bottom is not the bottom. And we could see deeper downside if we cannot reclaim the major resistance that we're currently at right now. So I would have to agree with basically both of these articles, which is basically them saying, look, if we can reclaim this resistance we're at right now, that does open the door to $96,000 POC of the range. If we reclaim 96,000, that opens up the door to some higher targets, such as the 618 at 108 and or the value area high at around 115. But we have yet to see any real reclaim happen. We are in the middle. We are currently, during this weekend, we are in the middle of a fight. All right, this is a real fight here. I want you just to notice that this is our 4-hour time frame. The 4-hour time frame, we have not even yet been able to make a higher high, right? I would consider this the high here at around 93, 94. We have not even been able to make a higher high yet. All right, but we can also see that if we do make a higher high here, we have a very squeezable situation. Lots of short liquidity above these highs. In my opinion, we could see a very fast move for Bitcoin back up towards $96,000 to $98,000. Okay, let's do some top-down analysis as we do have a monthly candle close today. All right, first sign of strength on the monthly for more relief to the upside. Let me just start on the 2-month. You know, objectively speaking here, guys, we do have a bearish divergence on the 2-month, which leads me to believe that the top is probably in for the next few months. All right, confirmed bear div on the 2-month makes me think the top is in for the next few months, maybe even half a year or so, or more. Okay, it's very rare. In fact, it's never happened for Bitcoin where we confirm a 2-month bearish divergence and we don't have what most people call a bear market. Okay, but I'm just going to call it a little bit of downside for the next few months, because that's really what a bear market is, right? Then we go to the monthly and we see multiple drive of confirmed bearish divergence. We're seeing the yellow oscillator make a lower low. We're seeing the money flow start to tick down. But we know that price never goes straight down, right? So we're looking for a relief here, especially if we can close the monthly candle above 90,600. Then we get down to our weekly time frame. All right, this is where things get quite interesting, because we know that so long as the Bitcoin price doesn't lose this last low here at 74,144, and as long as we don't close the weekly candle below that last weekly level at 78, well, there's a real potential here to confirm a hidden bullish divergence on the weekly time frame, which will give us some significant relief. Okay, you can even go back into the bear markets in the past and look at those weekly green dots, right? Like, actually, we did have one over here. This was the start of the bear market. We printed a hidden bullish divergence, and it gave us a move to the upside of about 48%. It's hard to see it on this chart, but that was not a small move. This is the weekly chart here, guys, right? So we get that hidden weekly bull div. We have a significant relief in the middle of the bear market, and then the next time we print a dot on the weekly time frame, this was no longer a hidden bullish divergence because the trend had changed. But even still, these weekly green dots, even in the heat of the bear market, another 45% move to the upside, and we only got 2 green dots on the weekly below the zero line before the bull market began again, right? So when this green dot confirms, expect some relief. The big question is, in my opinion, are we going to be able to confirm that green dot before we take the low between 74 and 78,000? If yes, we could have a much more powerful relief rally there, where we could see you know, let's just assume, you know, we get a 45-ish% correction there. That would take us, guys, back to $118,000 if it's similar to last cycle. And this would be perfect to get everybody super bullish again. And really, when we zoom out, we would still just be trading the range. I'm even open to price coming up back, even making a new high, coming to 130, and we continue to trade the range, honestly, because we cannot lose sight of the fact that this is a sideways range right here, with our highs around 125 and our lows around 73. And most of the time, the asset is going to be sticking to a range, and people get chopped up in the ranges because of emotions, instead of being objective and saying, well, we're at support, we should probably be looking for a bounce here. Which is why we're getting a bounce right now, because we came down to the support of the area between the 786 and the 886 Fibonacci, which was our real last hope support. All right, we also came down to this monthly order block that we had right here from the candle open of April 2025. That's where we're currently getting a bounce from, right? This is why we're getting a bounce from this area. So yeah, look, we start to close the month above 90.6, close the week, then I expect to move up to 96 to 98, and if we can hold 96 to 98, there's no reason why we can't get a move back to the top of the range, y'all. Right, this would be our next zone of resistance here, 96 to 98. We're basically looking at the support resistance split from June 2025 and the point of control of the range going all the way back to November 2024. All right, so if we close this weekly candle, man, that actually is a good sign. It will have me looking for longs next week. All right, let's say that we do close the candle next week, all right, or this week in a few hours. Then what would I be actually looking for? Well, then I would say, okay, that's objectively speaking kind of a bullish close. So then I would be looking at this here as like a range to trade. All right, I would be looking at this between that high around 93, 94, and the low around 80 as the potential range now to be trading, because we close the candle up here. That's strong. Okay, that's a strong close on the high time frame. So if we come down back to the bottom of the range, because we had a strong close, I would actually be looking for a long trade, either from making a higher low, taking some of this liquidity of this disgusting looking channel here, or even taking out the low, or simply just a fake out and come back inside, right? Remember, the last time we got a hidden bullish divergence on the weekly chart, what exactly happened here? Right? We saw the weekly bullish divergence forming over here, starting to form, right? We're probably, you know, what were we? We're 2 weeks into that low. We're about to be on our third week. So we're about right here, if we're going to compare, where the momentum wave is starting to cross. Right, but then what happened? Well, we came back down to the bottom of at the time, which was the local range, right? The low from January 2025 was our resistance, and then the low from March 2025 was our support. We just started to trade within this range, and that gave us a long signal from the low, right? So likewise now, what would I be looking for here? Kind of the same thing, guys, right? We get a strong close. You know, we're seeing some bullish divergences form here. If we come back down to the low and we see more bullish divergences on lower time frames, that could be our ticket for a long trade. And maybe it takes a little bit more time for this weekly hidden bull dip to play out. But that is kind of what I would be looking for right now. Overall, I do have to say that I remain more bearish than bullish. And any move we get to the upside, in my opinion, is simply going to be a relief rally to short, basically. Based on our 2-month or 1-month time frame, I would not be, you know, I expect that the top is in, really. I'm pretty much looking for shorts, even in the event of taking that high one more time. Because if that happens, like, honestly, if that does happen, guys, look at how bearish the weekly time frame would look, right? We would basically be getting a momentum wave crossing red under the 0 line if we made another higher high, which would be like literally the most bearish thing you could possibly think of. All right, the daily time frame would be giving us money flow literally crossing again from the blue even into deeper purple, right? And so for me, if this is the range that we're trading right now, right? This is the sideways range, okay? If you're coming back up to the top and the money flow goes from this high in the blue down to this low in the purple, that's an extremely bearish divergence, right? So I'm not really expecting that to happen. It could happen. I would more likely expect that we come up to test some of these key support resistance flips, such as 108, right, which was our high back in December 2024, and we come all the way through. That's our support here in fall 2025, right? Then we try and hold the level, we lose it, we back test it, we come back down. Just looking at this chart here, you could see how easily we could get our move back up to 108. There's a little bit of resistances along the way up, but really look at 108 here. We don't have much resistance along the way up. 108, we have massive amounts of resistance there. And also if we pull the fib from the high to the low, that's also going to be our Fibonacci golden pocket, right? So that's kind of what I'm keeping my eyes on right now for the Bitcoin price. Now, again, December historically is a bearish month, and people know this. I want us to think about the rate decision that's going to be happening in December, because, you know, the Federal Reserve was really hinting at the fact that they were not going to cut rates in December. But according to CME Group, which is pretty accurate, we're seeing there's an 87% probability that they are going to cut rates another 25 basis points in December. All right. I do think this could be a bit of a good thing for short-term upside, because as we come closer to the interest rate decision, that is going to affect the sentiment in the market, right? If people are thinking that the Federal Reserve is going to cut rates, well, that causes there to be bullishness in the market, especially leading up to the decision, all right? And so we might see that might facilitate a move to the upside here, especially, guys, if we are going to close first above 90,600. Then we need to come up and reclaim the POC at 96. And then we could get a fast bullish week coming all the way back up to our zone between the golden pocket and the 786 up here. It could happen real quick, catch a lot of people off guard. The reason I say that is because when you just look at this chart, there are no clear swing highs and swing lows in this move down. This is a daily time frame. We have a clear swing high here, right? We have a clear swing low here, but then we have nothing, okay? We pretty much have nothing, which means everybody who shorted from November 11th all the way to that low on the 21st, they were able to use high leverage, they were able to trail their stop losses, and they were not liquidated or stopped out. Which means if we start to come up here, you can imagine that we would start to hit those stop losses, which in the order book is a buy order, which pushes the price up more, which causes more stop losses to get hit, which pushes the price up more, until we come up to our actual area of resistance on the chart, which can be clearly seen without any fancy tools. Like, we don't even need the dang Fibonacci, right? Just to see that, you know, our golden pocket is literally the high from December 2024. And the 786 is literally that support level here from July. It was resistance in August, resistance in September, resistance twice here in October, right? We don't really have any real resistance until we come to that level on the daily time frame, right? So that's kind of what I'd be interested in. And if that happens, guys, then I would be prepared for some altcoin gains. I'm not saying we could see altcoins hit all-time highs, but we could. But I'm not saying it's going to happen. But let's take a quick look at ETH here. Because remember how Bitcoin has horrible price action without any clear swing highs or swing lows? Well, in my opinion, ETH has that all the way to new all-time highs, right? This parabola here on ETH does not look very good. It doesn't look very clean, right? It looks like we could also easily squeeze people who probably have their stop losses at all these areas, right? We could come back up, potentially make a new all-time high on ETH and hit that $5,000 level in December, January. Of course, guys, for that to happen, we need to see Bitcoin hold what now is resistance, and we really need to see that weekly hidden bullish divergence confirm on Bitcoin. But if we take a look here at ETH, we go to the weekly chart, you know, look, We have a anchor wave on market cipher B with a nice bottom in April. We've come down to the Fibonacci golden pocket 618 retrace and potentially are going to print a trigger wave here. Now, don't get me wrong, overall, I'm bearish here because the money flow is coming out, right? We see the money flow coming out. So overall, I do have to be bearish. But that could give us a move to the upside, which could actually just result in another bear div, which then it would just be a double top, right? Another double top. I'm not against that. I don't know how probable it is, like, right now, to be honest with you, but I'm prepared for the situation because I'm holding to now my macro bearish bias based on the chart, okay? Based on these high time frames, the 2-month, the monthly, thinking to myself, you know, if historically speaking, every time we print a 2-month bearish divergence, the top is in. Of course, we only have 2 instances of this in the past. But if the bearish divergence on the 2-month marks the top, I just find it very improbable that we will have enough strength to really continue in this uptrend without a good correction to create a healthy environment in the market for new buyers to step in, right? That's how I view it. And of course, this is not financial advice. I could be totally wrong here. I try to maintain a bullish bias for as long as possible here. But every time we make a new high, and especially now this 2-month chart being confirmed, it's just like, what's actually most probable right now? I think the hopes of that next big move up to like 150 is not really very likely. But, you know, everybody do your own analysis and your own research, and this ain't financial advice and all that stuff, right? I ain't telling y'all what to do with your hard-earned Bitcoin. But speaking of the ETH chart, I do want to take a look at the ETH Bitcoin pair. Because right now, the ETH Bitcoin pair, if we go to the monthly chart, you know, we have printed an extremely oversold momentum wave. We have a hidden bullish divergence from 2019 to our present day. We've come to the bottom of the macro range that we've been trading since 2017. And we've had a big impulse to the upside. We had a bullish engulfing candle confirm on the monthly, which we did have a few of those before. Like we had one back here in 2022. We had one back here in 2024. And I thought this was the big one back in 2024, guys. I really did. Because we had monthly bullish divergence. So I was expecting this to be the big one. But look at that bullish engulfing candle. We come up, we reject from value area high instead of back testing. I thought we were going to back test and then boom, like go for the highs. That didn't happen. What ended up happening is we come all the way back down to the bottom of the range. We get a bullish engulfing candle, doji, another bullish engulfing candle, and then we get a third month of a very strong close high above the POC. Now we're back testing the POC on the November 2025 candle. We've wicked back down to the green line. That's the highest volume node on the Bitcoin Ethereum pair, right? And so this holding here does show, in my opinion, a big impulse, a bull flag to back test key support, and then we could see move back up to value area high of the range, okay? And potentially squeeze all of this, right? We could really see Ethereum outperform Bitcoin here based on the ETH Bitcoin chart. And I think this lines up pretty nicely with the ETH USD chart, where we're seeing this big potential for a squeeze to happen here, right? Even in the midst of a macro bearish environment, there is still a potential for a squeeze to happen, right? Now, it could hit new all-time highs. It might not. We might simply just come up to, you know, some of these support resistance flips. I mean, obviously, guys, 4,000 is a big psychological level. Not only is 4,000 a big psychological level, it's just our resistance going all the way back to 2024 and really, you could say 2021, right? Roughly. But really, 2024, we had 3 taps of that resistance. So yeah, I'd say we could easily see a squeeze up to 4,000, potentially a new high. $4,000 right now is obviously going to be key resistance for ETH against USD, simply because if we look at this range here, I could have sworn the value area was 4,000. It's not. So I was wrong about that. Let's see. Where was I? What was I looking at? What was 4,000? Let me see. I know it was something. Well, maybe it's not. Just made a fool of myself on the internet. Well, that's okay. It's not the first time. Definitely won't be the last either. I thought there was a volume level at 4,000, but it looks like there's not. But either way, it is a key resistance, right? So that being said, let's take a look at Bitcoin dominance. Okay, so this is the daily chart on Bitcoin dominance, and you can see, let's actually go to the monthly here, because we are about to have a monthly candle close. So the monthly candle close is about to close below this little channel that we've been trading for the last 3 months, which does show more potential downside here for Bitcoin dominance. Now, the reason why we look at Bitcoin dominance is because we want to see, when it comes to money that's in crypto, in the actual market, the crypto market, where is this money going, right? Is it going into Bitcoin? Is it going into altcoins? Is it going into stables? If we want to see altcoin gains, we need to see the Bitcoin dominance coming down, aka money's leaving Bitcoin, it's going into other crypto assets, and we want to see it going into altcoins. We don't want to see it going into stable coins. So right now on the monthly, we can say, okay, Bitcoin dominance is going down, money's leaving Bitcoin. Now let's ask ourselves, is that money, number one, is it staying in crypto? Right? Because money could leave Bitcoin and go right into the bank, like the actual fiat USD, right? People could be taking profits, and that's why Bitcoin dominance is coming down, right? It just means money's leaving Bitcoin. We don't know where that money is going from this chart. But we do know right now from this chart that the monthly candle is bearish, in a sense that money is leaving Bitcoin, going somewhere. So now let's see, is it going into altcoins, right? We're going to look at the total 3, which is the total market cap excluding Bitcoin and Ethereum. Now on the monthly time frame, we can see that money's leaving crypto, it's leaving Bitcoin and altcoins, okay? It's leaving Bitcoin and altcoins. If we go to the weekly time frame, however, we can see that some of that money leaving Bitcoin is going back into altcoins. Now here's what we need to really focus on here, in my opinion, is what we have going on is a large channel. All right, a channel is basically just a diagonal channel of support and resistance, and you can see that ever since 2023 September, the total crypto market cap excluding Bitcoin and ETH, so this is all the altcoins, has been holding this trend line once, twice, 3, 4, 5, the 5th time on October 10th, and now we've broken below. So what we really want to see, if we want to experience some of these altcoin gains, is number one, Bitcoin holding the support. Yes, we want to see. Number two, Bitcoin start to get a big, not a big, but a relief rally, enough to keep people from being ultra bearish and wanting to sell everything. Then we want to see the total 3 come back inside this channel. Because if we can, I don't see why we couldn't get a move back up to at least 1.15 trillion market cap and come back up to the top of this resistance. That could have us see some significant crypto gains for our altcoins, okay? Let's take a look at Market Cipher B here. There is the chance that we're about to print that hidden bullish divergence on total 3 as well, altcoin dominance, okay? So that's what we'd want to look for some altcoin gains. Again, I'm saying this in the context of myself being macroly bearish, looking for multi-month downtrend for crypto. But again, we never are going to go straight down. There's going to be long opportunities in the midst of the bear market. And last time, it was after Bitcoin hit the all-time high that a lot of altcoins made some serious gains. Of course, those that was like the Shiba Inu days, and I think PP coin back then. Now let's check out USDT dominance, because now we're going to see, is the money going into Tether? Well, this is good news, guys. The money that is leaving Bitcoin and locally going into altcoins, here on the weekly chart for USDT, we can see it's actually not going into Tether, right? So that's actually a good sign. People are not putting their Bitcoin into stablecoins. It looks like, in general, people are moving some of their Bitcoin into altcoins. Nothing serious, all right? I want to make that clear. It's nothing too serious, but This is a good sign because we're at resistance here on USDT dominance, a support resistance flip. It goes back to January 2023, and this has been resistance throughout the entirety of the bull run so far. So even if the bull run is over and we're about to break out, you know, we could still see USDT dominance come back down to the golden pocket. I'm not sure if we can analyze volume on USDT dominance. We can. We also have the value area high around 5%. And the golden pocket's going to be coming in around 4.5%. So we could see something like this, which could see us some altcoin gains within the next few months. Now, again, you know, what you do with this info is up to you. Is it a good time right now, in my opinion, to be buying alts afresh? In my opinion, no, right? In my opinion, no. What I'm looking for is, you know, the altcoins that I bought in 2022. I'm either going to hold them until eventually they pump, or I'm going to sell them if we just so happen to have, like, for example, if ETH does hit my target of 5,500, the fib extension level, I am going to sell some spot ETH at 5,500 because I planned to sell ETH at 5,500 since I bought it in 2022. So I'm basically just sticking to my plan, which might take a lot longer than expected, right? If we never hit there, we come up, reject from 4,000, come back to the bottom of the range at 2,000, you know, get a little bit of a bounce, you know, all of a sudden it's the summer and we enter into another bull market, right? Well, then I'll just hodl a little bit longer. I mean, I literally bought here, held all the way here, held all the way down here, held all the way up here. For me, it doesn't matter. It's just taking longer than expected right now, right? I'm definitely not trying to buy ETH here to sell it at 4,000. Heck no. All right, that's not how I do it. I need to wait for something more drastic. I didn't even buy ETH down here because the four-year cycle was not over, and I was expecting a big breakout. So I'm really just sticking to the same plan I've had now since 2022 November. All right, 3-year plan. Still haven't hit a take profit on it. All right. So, you know, there's a lot of people who've been holding their bags, asking like, should I sell now? You know, I'm not a financial advisor, but if you've been holding your bags, I'm not selling now because I'm bullish on ETH like long term. All right, it might take longer than expected. If the 4-year cycle is no longer working the way it used to, that doesn't take away from the fact that Ethereum itself is a bullish asset long term, right? And so eventually, I think if we're patient, it will pay, right? I don't want to sell at a loss. At the very least, if I was pressed for cash in the event of a relief rally where we do see ETH start to get a squeeze and come up to 4,000, maybe I would take something off the table if I really needed the money, right? But in my opinion, I think, for me at least, and I'm not a financial advisor, it makes the most sense for me just to kind of hold through this, right? Because regardless of what we do, even in the worst case scenario where this is the range we trade for a while, I mean, eventually I do expect to see ETH breaking out of this range, right? It is a bullish asset in general, all right? So that's kind of where we're at with the crypto market. We got about 700 people in the house. Make sure to smash the dang likes. All right, shout out to everybody in the chat. He says 45-year cup and handle breaking out now on silver. Expect an epic pump for silver very soon. Let's check that out. Yeah, so look at this. We do have a 45-year cup and handle going all the way back to the 80s. You're going to look at this thing as a cup and handle here. And locally maybe forming a bit of a flag, which we have been doing, right? Been forming a bit of a flag here. Yeah, don't be surprised if silver gets an epic pump. Monthly momentum looks good. Let's check out weekly momentum here on silver. Looks like we're about to print another green dot on the weekly. You know, silver's had a massive rally already. I mean, if we even just go back to July, it's up right now about 50%. That's pretty crazy, you know. Man, the crypto markets are not what they used to be, honestly, right? They're not what they used to be, where we would get crazy pumps like that. Let's check out the Bitcoin since July, actually. What did Bitcoin do since July? Not very much, huh? Dumped. Man, that is crazy, man. It is crazy to see precious metals outperforming Bitcoin, you know? Gold, man, looking ultra bullish as well. You know, gold tried to get that pullback, right? We had this disgusting looking parabola. We tried to get that pullback, but it looks like we did find support on the 50% Fibonacci retrace from that last low to the high. If we put on our 50% Fibonacci, where was that low I had? I had it somewhere. I know it's not in my head. I was probably on a lower time frame. Let's see here. Yeah, I pulled it from this last little low after we got the big breakout of resistance here, right? We had break of resistance, breakout, last swing low, 50% retrace, and then we start to form a little bit of a triangle here. In my opinion, I thought we were going to maybe make a run for the lows of the triangle, but nope, we didn't, and we're actually kind of breaking out of it right now. So that is interesting on gold as well. We got silver and gold looking ultra bullish. We got Bitcoin looking kind of bearish. Let's take a quick look actually at the S&P 500 here as well. Let's go to the yearly time frame. Man, what a bearish chart, huh? That's crazy, right? Joking, by the way, about the bearish chart. Pretty much at all-time highs on the stock market. It is very interesting to see the S&P very much so outperform Bitcoin. Very, very strange, honestly, guys, to see all these assets outperforming Bitcoin. It's definitely something that we're not used to as being in the crypto space for sure, right? So we're going to have to be on the edge of our seats here to see what is going to happen. Yeah, let's actually take a look at the volume here. This is the ES mini futures. Yeah, we just basically came down, did a liquidity grab of the lows, and now we're back toward the highs again. And of course, this is not open. It will be open in a few hours when the CME markets open once again. Peter Sniff was right. Yeah, it only took him, what, 10 years to be right. I mean, what would you have rather bought in 2016? Bitcoin or gold? You know, I would have rather bought me some Bitcoin. But I'm actually a huge gold bug myself. Like, I've been into gold since way before I was into Bitcoin. All right, I've been in Bitcoin since 2016. I've been big into gold since 2014. As a hedge against inflation and a preserver of my purchasing power. But yeah, I don't know how I feel about Peter Schiff, honestly. I don't know if he's like a shill or if he's legit. I don't know. I don't really care at this point either. But yeah, maybe he was right. All right. Bitcoin is risky because it's small market cap. Yeah, for sure. Like, here's the thing about gold. You know, it's historically is money, right? Historically, gold is money. So you can pretty much buy the same amount of goods and services that you could in 1913 with an ounce of gold, except in 1913 your ounce of gold would have been 20 bucks, and today your ounce of gold is $4,215. So this is basically the purchasing power of the dollar going down. Is there some manipulation here? Yeah, of course, but in general, is the purchasing power of the dollar going down, as can be seen from the Federal Reserve being created back here, right? This is where we start printing fake money, right? And then with the fake money, we end up in debt. And then there's the Great Depression. And what do? Oh, they fix it by devaluing the currency, right? All of a sudden, gold goes from $20 an ounce to $30 an ounce. We're still on somewhat of a gold standard until 1971, where Richard Nixon takes us completely off. And what happened in 1971? Oh, what do you know? Now we're officially the dollar's no longer tied to gold at all. It's just purely a debt note printed by the Federal Reserve, which isn't even federal, nor is it a reserve. They just print debt notes, IOUs. And the whole world buys into it. It's actually really weird, man. When you sit back and think that, like, the world governments and, like, all the people, all these different countries, they have to go along and play this game. They've had to go along and play this game where, like, America's money is totally fake and everyone just kind of goes along with it because I don't know. I guess historically America's like the world's superpower since the 70s. Like, what, we'll bomb you or something. I mean, people are starting not to go along with it, but it's really weird to think like, you know, you grow up and your parents teach you to save money and be frugal and be responsible because, you know, money don't grow on trees. But then the higher up you get, I mean, it does just grow on trees. They just print it into oblivion, and it's so corrupt how they can do that. Take away the purchasing power from your average person and keep them a slave to this currency that keeps losing its value more and more and more. Meanwhile, they're acquiring all the actual tangible wealth. You know, it is really weird that everyone just goes along and plays with the game. Trading is the closest thing you can get. Investing and trading is the closest thing you can do to play the game with them, because trading is really, if you think about it here, you're taking advantage of the devaluing of the dollar. Like if you're into gold, you're taking advantage of the devaluing of the dollar, right? Especially, you know, if you've been in crypto, you're taking advantage of the devaluing of the dollar, where the dollar's going down in purchasing power, but it doesn't affect you. You're actually benefiting from it because you've put your dollars into an asset that's outperforming the dollar when it comes to the amount of purchasing power it gives you, right? So the dollar's lost a lot of purchasing power recently, but because since 2016, Bitcoin's done a 100x basically. You know, even though the dollar's worth less than it was in 2016, you're still, you know, let's say the dollar's lost 40% of its purchasing power since then. Well, you've taken your dollars and you've 100x'd them, right? So you're still up 60%. If you're going to adjust for the devaluing of the currency, you're still in profit 60%, even though the dollar's lost 40% of its purchasing power. So this is kind of what the elites do, and they do all their inside trading Nancy Pelosi style, right? But trading and investing is the closest thing you can get to that. Who is them? Them is another word for they, and they know everything. I had a conversation with they once. He knew everything. The answer to every single conspiracy theory, he confirmed for me. Yeah, it's true, Jason. I spoke to they. He said it's true. Everything that they said was absolutely true. Yeah. But yeah, I would say the elites, right? The bankers, people in government, you know. You'll bomb them and call them terrorists? What do you mean, am I lying to myself? I agree with you 100%. I don't know. I'm just being objective. I don't know. I'm trying to say I don't know why the world's gone along with it. Probably because they're scared of getting bombed, right? Like every country that like refuses to like install some kind of Federal Reserve affiliated central banking system ends up being the bad guy, you know? So yeah, I mean, I agree with you on that one. Gay people are richer than the average breeder. You know what? That makes sense to me. If you don't have kids in general, you'd probably be a little bit well off for a little while. But it's kind of like a seedless watermelon, you know, Alex Wells? Like a seedless watermelon is kind of nice for a little while. You know what I'm saying? Because you don't have to worry about those seeds, you know, interrupting your watermelon eating. But after the watermelon's gone, that's it, right? That's it. That's it. You die out. Seedless watermelons are infertile, right? So, yeah, I guess gay people might be richer for a little while without kids, but then they're dead and there's no kids to pass anything on to, right? It's a dying breed. Of course, I guess these days with all the weird technology, they're turning eggs into sperms and sperms into eggs, and they're doing a whole bunch of different abominations with the creation, honestly. The euro will someday fall, says Wojak Plant Science. Zcash USD. Yeah, we'll take a quick look at ZEC. Take a look, ZEC. Ooh, so ZEC is breaking down from the triangle. If you look at that breakdown, this is the daily right here. We got a big weekly top here. All right, so it's pretty obvious, I'd say, that between 300 and 350 is, you know, if ZEC is going to continue up here, this is major support, okay? This is major support. I would say actually real major support is going to be the weekly order block that we have right here, all right? The weekly order block up here, down here. But I'd really be looking in this box for a bounce on Zcash here, right? When we zoom out, we can see why that's such an important level. A weekly order block is the only weekly support we have on the way down here. Let's go to the daily. Daily trying to print a bottom here. You know, what would be really nice on Zcash would be a move down, take some of the liquidity, and form a little range down here. And within this range, get a local setup of like some kind of lows being formed and then a liquidity grab, and eventually us getting, you know, something like this where we end up with some bullish divergence. As we do that on the daily, that could be a really nice looking bottom locally for ZEC. All right, can't hate on ZEC, baby. What do I think about XR Pizzle? You know, I think XR Pizzle is a good asset to, like, what do I think about it now? I mean, we could take a look at it now. But the clip cult, XRP, I've never been a big fan of it because when I got into crypto in 2016, XRP was like the bad guy, right? They were like the bankers trying to get their dirty hands into the crypto space. So I always kind of like didn't like it. I always kind of disrespected it. Do I think it has bullishness in the future? Yeah, I do. I'm honestly, it really is crazy to me that we didn't see higher prices for XRP this year. I'll be honest, I was not expecting this to happen. But look, in general, I'd say like top 10, top 20 altcoins are generally good things to have. But I don't want to call myself a Bitcoin maxi, but in general, guys, you know, the reason I got into crypto in the first place is because of what Bitcoin actually was, what Bitcoin actually is. Bitcoin's not really that anymore. It's, if you've been in the crypto space since those days, I mean, back in those days, man, it was really, the crypto space was full of, you know, anarchists and people who really hated the government and you know, hated the banks, and the idea of like a BlackRock launching a Bitcoin ETF is like the most disgusting, repulsive thing you could imagine, right? But yeah, the original idea of like what Bitcoin was, that's what got me into crypto, and all these other coins. It's like, here's how I look at it. I don't think Bitcoin is what it was created to be, but I still think people think it is what it was created to be, enough to pump the price more and more and more, right? Like, it's kind of like the norm, like, how's this? Like, it started with very extremist people in the community, and now that more and more normies are being brought in, they're not extremists enough to be repulsed by a BlackRock ETF. They still think Bitcoin's going to be this awesome, like, way to kind of like bypass traditional finance and all this, and like make money, which is what most people really want to do. And because of that, I think we still have time for Bitcoin to hit some huge price numbers, like $500,000 and stuff like that. As for these other ones, here's the thing. You can't really say for certain they're going to be around, right? It's like the beginning of the internet. Like, there were a lot of IPOs and new companies and startups that started, and then the dot-com bubble happened, and most of them went bye-bye. So I don't think Bitcoin's going bye-bye. These other ones, who knows? You know, who knows? I don't know. All right. But XRP right now, this is kind of what we're looking at. The potentiality here of a weekly wave. You know, if Bitcoin's going to hold support, and we're going to see that everything that we've basically been talking about for the first hour of the stream, there's no reason why we can't see XRP start to squeeze up, potentially back to 350, or, you know, at the very worst, if we take a look at the volume here of this range that we're in, value area high around 285, Nice support resistance flip, confluence with the golden pocket zone, right? That's what I think about XRP locally. If I had to like, if someone said long term, am I bullish or bearish on XRP? I'd have to be bullish on XRP, right? I would have to say we're probably going to see $5, $6, $7 XRP at some point, right? What's the oldest exchange to have Tether? Not Tether, XRP. I want to see. Coinbase only goes back to 2023. Binance goes back to 2018. Yeah, I guess there really aren't a lot of exchanges here that had XRP. I don't know. All right, Dread Mining, he says, Jay, can you check the 6-minute Bitcoin, please? Top of the range CDW. Let's check it out. Major shout out to John Durart 9993 for the super chat. I'll check that out. I'll check the, oh, Bitstamp is XRP. Okay. Wow, it's crazy. Well, is this? Here we go. Here we go. Yeah, so XRP, it just made it slightly all-time high. I would be bullish on XRP, like in general. Even if we have to trade this range for a much longer time. All right, let's check out the 6-minute Bitcoin for our man Dread Mining, and then we will get to our super chat. Oh, I see. Yeah, so we had this local low right here. Do I like it? I don't really. The money flow looks good, but the momentum is not the best here. But I mean, look, I'm just looking at this now. Let's check out the 3-minute. I mean, the 3-minute looks nice. Did the 5-second give a good signal there? The 5-second gave a nice signal there, honestly. But you know, obviously the move is missed on the 5-second now. Yeah, it is a very, very local CDW. It's not even the daily low that we took out, right? The daily low was right down here at 9664. So yeah, I mean, if you're in the scalp zone, I'm sure you could have definitely had a trade from that. But coming into this now, it's tough. Yeah, I would say this, like, it does overall. I feel feels more bullish here to me than bearish because we front ran the 618 resistance, right? We front ran that 618 resistance, and we're chopping around the POC here. So this could just be consolidation around the POC before another move to the upside. Yeah, I haven't given you any kind of answer here, bro. Because to be honest, this is the kind of territory where, unless I'm really in the zone scalping, you know, there's no trade for me to be had here. Unless I was like literally here all day with the intention of like scalping this little area, for me, there's no real trade to be had here. We're just chopping around. We're chopping within chop, right? I mean, we got the larger chop, and then within the larger chop, we've got the smaller chop that's not even a full day of chop. So, but if you took a long from there, I mean, congrats, because that's a good scalp. Honestly, let's be honest, that is a good scalp. If you got in, you're up like 0.16%. Maybe it's not the best scalp. It depends. You know, it depends, right? You know, if you're on KCEX, you know, you can get some good risk to rewards with very small moves, like a 0.2, 0.3% move, and you're making a couple $100. You know, 0.2, 0.3% move, you're making a couple $100, which does remind me, guys, if you want to trade on KCEX, the lowest fees, there's a link in the pinned comment. All right, I'm also trading on BLOFIN, WEEX, and ZOOMEX. Also, guys, we are having some Black Friday sales right now. If you go to my Twitter, we got some Black Friday sales going on. So basically, we're having some VIP Discord sales. If you buy a year or 6 months, all right, you get a good discount. If you're already a VIP, you can upgrade, right? And also, if you're a VIP in the Discord, you can unlock the Black Friday course discounts, all right? So we got some good trading discounts if you're already in the VIP. So if you're not in the VIP, you sign up for 6 months, you get a good discount. If you're already in the VIP, you can upgrade, get some money off. And if you're in the VIP, we got discounts on all the courses in there, all right? This is actually a really great deal. White Phoenix's course, it was $800, now it's $300, all right? My basic trading course was $4, now it's $2. The advanced course was $4, now it's $2. Yeah. Also, yeah, I think that's pretty much it. If you want to join the VIP, you can go to jasoncaspertrading.com. And yeah. All right, we got to get to our super chat. He says, can you check out CMC20 token? Thank you for the super chat, by the way. Is this the coin we're talking about? Hang on. I'm not sure if I have this right, man. CMC20 token has really low supply. You know, I don't know what to say about it, and based on the chart, sadly, I cannot give any real analysis on this coin. All right, it has a low supply. I don't know what to say about it. Like, I haven't done any fundamental research on it, and if all I have is this chart, I have nothing here to tell me am I bullish or bearish on it, you know, because there's no support, there's no resistance. It's just kind of a chop city. So sadly, this is above my pay grade to talk about. You know, I'm a technical analyst, chart guy. So I don't know. I don't know anything about it. But thank you so much for the super chat. I really do appreciate it. Yes, we do have an egg code for today. All right, if you want to get some eggs in the Discord, the eggs are redeemable for prizes. The code is pumpkin pie, guys. Who doesn't love a little pumpkin pie? I'll be honest, I don't really like pumpkin pie. I don't really like sweets in general anymore. I just don't like them. But I'm sure a lot of you guys like pumpkin pie. So the way you get eggs, guys, is in the Discord. All right. VIP members get 5 times as many eggs as non-VIP members. But essentially, you come over to quests and you claim these eggs. You type in pumpkin pie, and then you get your eggs. And these eggs are redeemable for prizes. Like all the raffles we're doing, the $200 giveaway, the $100 giveaway, the $50 giveaway, the free VIP giveaway. All right. You still have time to enter before tomorrow's VIP stream, where I do the giveaways for the non-VIPs and the VIPs. Ends in 21 hours, so make sure to like, subscribe, and click the bell for notifications, because we're bringing you the juiciest crypto updates here on YouTube and all that kind of stuff. All right. So. All right, awesome. You still a plant grower? Yeah, of course. How was my season? It was excellent, man. You know, lots of good food to grow this season. Yeah, same here, Lasers Go Pew. Most sweet stuff to me tastes like chemicals and junk. It is kind of sad because I miss being like young and enjoying that stuff, but isn't it spelled pumpkin pie? Let me check. No, it's pumpkin pie. That's how we're spelling it for this egg giveaway. But all right, guys. think I'm going to head it out for today. God bless everybody. Make sure to like, subscribe, click the bell. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace.